Yo, what's up, man? 4th of July, 2025. I think it's a Friday. I keep saying the wrong days, the wrong dates on here, but today is definitely 4th of July. It's a Friday. Welcome to the podcast from Soul. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. And share this video with somebody who is following the Puffy trial like you, and you guys are discussing it, debating it. Please share this video. Follow me on Spotify at the podcast with Soul. You can watch these videos there. And please follow me on Instagram at the podcast with Soul. Let me say this, man, and I want to address this because a lot of y'all are in the comment section talking about something you know nothing about, right? You're operating purely from your personal feelings, your personal emotion, and you have no evidence, no substantive proof of nothing of what you're saying other than how you feel and maybe some personal instances in your life. I was an inside the courtroom observer on the 24th floor for the entire Puffy trial. I was there. This makes a big difference from reading the transcripts from Ohio, or you're from Kentucky and you're reading the transcripts, or you're from Virginia, you're reading the transcripts, you're from Boston and you're reading the transcripts. It's different from being inside the courtroom versus somewhere else reading the transcripts. And you're even further removed if you're not reading the transcripts and you're not in the courtroom. You going off of what you're hearing on social media or mainstream media. You are far from what is the truth. I can't even have conversations with people who haven't been inside the courtroom. The only people that I can discuss this case with on an intelligent level are people who are like myself, that were inside the courtroom, that heard the direct examination live, that heard the cross-examination live, that was able to look at the witness and see the body language change under direct examination, under cross-examination, to hear the inflection of the voice of the witness under cross or under direct, to see the body language of the defense attorneys, to see the body language of the assistant U.S. attorneys, to hear the inflection in the judge's voice, to hear the sidebars, to hear the objections, to hear the overruled objections. This is, if you wasn't there, you can't talk to me about none of this, and I don't even attempt to talk to you about this trial. Judge Subramanian is not a racist, and he does not hate Puffy. From my vantage point, Judge Subramanian called a fair trial, I thought, down the middle. I believe he overruled objections from the prosecution just as much as he overruled objections from the defense. He sustained objections for the defense the same way he sustained objections from the prosecution. Judge Subramanian is of Indian ancestry from the southern part of India, the Tamil people, Tamil. These are the black, the darker complected Indians from Asia, from India. My complexion, some are even darker. When you trace these people's ancestry back, these southern Indians, they trace back to Eastern Africa and the Dravidians, Somalia, Punt, Eritrea, Ethiopia. They are descendants of that bloodline. Some of them probably have a stronger African genetic than you do. The darker skinned complected Indians in India, in the southern part of India, are discriminated against by the whiter complected Indians to the north, who are a mixture of Persians, Bedouins, Brits, Europeans. They're an amalgamation of a bunch of different bloodlines. The whiter complected Indians, Arabs, blood, all different types of blood. So I don't believe that he's a racist, and I don't believe that he hates Puff. I don't believe that. I watched him every day. I listened to him every day. I heard him every day. I think he called a fair trial. But what I will say, and what I do believe, and what I saw, is he is weak and he lacks backbone. He's a neophyte, he's a beginner, and he's a new judge. And I think that he was deliberately assigned this case so that he can be controlled and coerced by the Southern District of New York upper management. I believe this trial, he did a good job. He did a good job. And this is a feather in his hat. But I believe that he's only got 2 years on the bench. And a more senior judge with 15 or 20 years on the bench wouldn't have tolerated nor allowed a lot of the buffoonery that went on in this case. A witness got on the stand and perjured themselves in his courtroom, in his face, and he defended it, right? And gave Brianna Bogelin, she says he's the Bennett, this is 9 years ago, she was on drugs, maybe she forgot this and that, but Puffy was still getting prosecuted for things that went back to 2008. So I think a more senior judge would have come down hard on the witness for committing perjury, perhaps, but he didn't. Juror number six, the afternoon that juror number 6 got dismissed, that morning, Judge Subramanian, they went over it in the morning. Alexander Shapiro, fighting for Puff, says that this is small potatoes. Juror 6 should not be removed. Judge Subramanian says, I met with Juror 6 2 times. He maybe made a mistake. These are reconcilable differences. This is nothing so egregious that we need to remove him from the jury. And this is the last time I'm speaking on it. Juror number 6 is not going to be removed. Something to that effect. This was his statement. Then another U.S. attorney jumped up. I think it was Smizer or Johnson or Slavic jumped up and said, Judge, we ask that you speak to him again. We want him to be removed. He said, all right, man, I ain't gonna promise you I'm gonna speak to him again, but I might rap to him. But I already spoke to him twice. As for right now, he ain't being removed, and leave this alone. Let's move on. And we moved on. That right there, he was acting as a true judge, as a true man judge. He was being a true judge. This was in the morning. That afternoon, on the same day, around 5 o'clock, he came back and he reversed his whole idea, his whole thesis about how now juror number 6 should be removed and will be removed and is off the jury. And he left himself an out and says, well, let me think about it over the weekend, because this was a Friday. And he came back and juror 6 was removed, and he gave some excuse. I didn't like that. That is not racist. That is just being intimidated, coerced by upper management. I believe he got a phone call and they made him do it. Another incident that just happened the other day when Puffy was acquitted. Puffy was acquitted of RICO. He was acquitted of sex trafficking. Two of the most serious charges, which he was facing death. If Puffy gets convicted of RICO, he's facing death. He beats it. He's convicted on sex, selling of the body, PROS, TITUITION. Mark Agnifilo, Puffy's lead attorney, jumps up and says, Your Honor, we would like to make a motion right now that Mr. Combs be released. His whole family is here, his daughters are here, his mother, his whole family is here. The jury of his peers have given him his life back. This is what Mark Agnifilo said. A jury of his peers who were of different ethnicities. You had all different types of ethnicities on the jury. This is New York City. Has given him his life back. And we know that he has to do some things with the Marshal Service, but we want Puffy to be released today to go back to Miami. He does not have his plane. His plane is in Maui, Hawaii. We have his passports. He cannot leave the country. The judge can set whatever bail conditions you ever want to set. He's willing to put up $1 million bond signed by 5 of his family members. He said 3 or 5 of his family members, his mother, whoever you want us to sign, he'll sign. But we request that he be released now. He's been acquitted of the most serious charges. He's found guilty of the least serious of the 3 counts, of the 5 counts. Judge Subramanian took all of that in and he looked over at Puff and he started a conversation with Puff. And he says, okay, the court will consider that. Mr. Combs, I'm sure you don't want to go back to MDC Brooklyn. This is what Judge Subramanian said to Puffy. Puffy said, nope. He shook his head like that. And the judge said, okay, we'll take that into consideration. Is there anything from the prosecution? Moren Comey jumped up and in her often exhibited and displayed entitled way, her father being a former FBI director. Moren Comey's a good attorney. Not taking that away from her. She's a good attorney. She's tough. But I hear a lot of privileged, elite, white girl entitlement because my daddy is a powerful man with powerful friends. I hear a lot of that from her. And she stood up and she started saying, we are totally against Mr. Combs getting released. He was convicted of 2 counts. These counts each carry a maximum prison sentence of 10 years. We want him to stay incarcerated in custody. And she went on to state her position. And she's got every right to do that. She's got every right to do that. She was the lead prosecutor on that team. And the judge, after Moren Comey got finished saying what she said, all right, both of y'all give me a letter and we'll meet back here at 1 o'clock. This was around 10 10:45, maybe something to 11. We'll meet back here at 1 o'clock and we'll go over it. I'll make my decision. In the meantime and in between time, Deontay Nash, Cassie sent over letters requesting that Puffy not be released. And we all came back in at 1 o'clock, ready for court to reconvene. We waited around in the overflow for an hour, and at 2 o'clock, the marshals came in and said, everybody leave the courtroom. The hearing for release or bail is pushed back to 5 o'clock. So we all left. 5 o'clock came down. He denied Puffy's bail. So Judge Subramanian, why would you look that man in his face and ask him, implying that I'm gonna release you? Mr. Combs, I'm sure you don't want to go back to MDC Brooklyn, right? I'm sure you're ready to go to Two-Star Island in Miami. Mark Agnifilo said his restrictions will be to Miami, New York, and Los Angeles, where his homes are, and New Jersey, so he can fly into Teterboro Airport if needed. Why would you make a statement like that to Puff if you weren't considering releasing him? And I believe this was another instance where he got a call from somebody within the SDNY, higher up than him, and they told him there's no bail package. Keep him in custody. And I think that because he's new, he's only 2 years on the bench, he needs acceptance. He's trying to win the approval, I guess, of the higher ups in the court. And he denied Puffy bail. But I don't think it had anything to do with Puffy being black. Oh, the black man, the black. And a lot of you niggas, man, that's your default response to anything is racism. White man this, white man that. And this has nothing to do with that. Puffy was convicted of 2 crimes. He got convicted. You know, he wasn't acquitted on all the charges. He was convicted on 2 counts. Although they're very minimal counts relative to the counts that he beat, he still got convicted. Right? And you got to keep that up front. I wanted him to get released too. I'm happy that he beat the RICO and the SEX trafficking. I'm ecstatic. But I see y'all going in the comment section and you talking all of this black man this and the Mann Act is racist and this and that. The Mann Act, if you look it up, the original name of the Mann Act is the White Slavery Act. And it extends back to the middle of the 19th century when the United States, obviously foundational black Americans were still enslaved at that point. Parts of America were getting industrialized and white men were enslaving young white girls and women for economic reasons and drawing them into selling of the body. And this act was part of that, enacted for that reason. And I know you're going to say, well, Jack Johnson was prosecuted under that. Jack Johnson was prosecuted under that. But there were a lot of other white people that were prosecuted under this law too. Charlie Chaplin, Charles Manson. Look it up on Wikipedia. Bunch of people have been prosecuted under the Mann Act. So I just wanted to clear that up. You know, if you don't know what you're talking about, sometimes it's best to just go do your research and get the facts straight and then open your mouth. But if you're not going to do your research and do your homework and get your facts straight, then sometimes it's best to just shut up and not say nothing. Podcast with Soul. Sean G. Peace.